Laura, just real quick, are you in Canada?
I am. Yeah, I'm in Canada. I'm in Montreal in my she shed small office space. But thank you guys for having me. Really cool to talk to you. I've listened to a few episodes. Always nice to talk to other founders that are at similar stages. I feel like a lot of podcasts like highlight obviously people much later on in the journey, but the actual interesting part is when you're in the middle of it. So yeah.
Wait. Back up. I heard she shed, and I want to know what this is.
Yeah, she shed is it's totally a real thing. No, but I rent a like little office space. It's something I did a couple months ago. I don't know about you guys, but just building Gridbank for the past couple years, I was working from home. I just like refused to get myself an office space for whatever reason, and it has just completely changed my life having an office outside of your house. So yeah, just got a little space here and it's really lovely. I have a little aroma diffuser, a little chair. We're living.
Is she shed a nickname or is it
Oh my
actually
God,
a
are we
place
still
called
on
She Shed? I just want clarification on whether this is a nickname or a real thing.
Yeah, my wife wants a she shed, so it's a real thing. It's like the woman's version of a man cave.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so it's a nickname.
Yes.
It's on a brand. Okay.
No. Okay, are we good?
It does
Now?
not have the same.
We can move on
Okay.
from She Shed.
No. Let's stay on she shed. This does not have the same ring to it as man cave. I think it needs a new nickname.
I think it's good.
I think it's good. I think it eats. It's great.
Works. Yeah, so let's talk about Gridbank. I saw on your site, like the H1 is you have all the content you need. We're actually working with someone who's building with the API right now, and that's their main slogan as well, their H1. What problem does Gridbank solve, and how does this like address it?
Yeah. I guess I can go into the story of like building it. Gridbank is my first company, so I'm not someone that has tried or thought about really explicitly being an entrepreneur that much. Like I always knew I would do something, but I didn't really know what it was. But then of course, looking back, like I always started lemonade stands and stuff. So, that's like a classic thing. So maybe I'm lying, but basically I was working in gaming, in the gaming industry in Montreal, which is pretty big. And I was a creative director and I had, like 6 or so designers. Like I was in charge of creative production, basically. And it was performance marketing before performance marketing was the thing that we all know that it is now. So when I started there, we were burning maybe an ad spend, like a few $1 million a month. Like the spend was really, really high. And it was my job to make as many videos as possible. We were driving towards app downloads. So I had to generate hundreds of different ad iterations every month with my team. And there were no like ways or tips or anything of doing that yet. So we looked around, like very few companies were producing at that scale. Voodoo was one of them, another gaming company that we looked at a lot. I think, what's it called? Calm was doing a lot. The Calm and Headspace was doing a lot of performance marketing, but it wasn't really in the zeitgeist. So I had, over a couple of years there, I was gathering a lot of data worldwide on what was performing the best in terms of ads. Like I was just hundreds of millions of dollars later. And there was one kind of common thread between every country, every geo, every language, like a style that really stood out before, like ahead of everything else. And that was ads that looked like they were shot on a phone. And that seems obvious to us now, but back then it was like, oh, woo, crazy. So with all of that data, one day I was just sitting at my desk and I was every month like really struggling to hit this ad count of like hundreds of different variations and stuff. And I went and I was like, where the hell am I going to get a lot of phone shot video to be able to pump these out as quickly as I can to get my promotion? And then yeah, I was just sitting there at my desk, I remember. And I thought, well, everyone in the world has a phone, and everyone in the world has videos on that phone. And like in that moment, my blood like ran cold. Like I could not believe that nobody had captured that asset class before, that there was just like trillions and trillions of like, I don't want to call it like dry powder, but just dry assets, like video data and all of that sitting on people's phones, like everyone. And I got really scared and I like went for a walk because I knew in that moment it was like gripping me by the throat. I was like, shit, I have to build this company. Like, I got to do this. This is the thing that I have to do, which was such a blessing to be so sure of something all at once. And the idea hasn't really changed since then. So all the content you need is like, that's what I would have given anything to see at that point when I was struggling to make a ton of ads, was like any H1 that was like, all of a sudden you have all the content you need. Um, I wrote that line with my dad, actually. We were sitting on the couch in the basement of his cottage. And we were like, what's the feeling when like you just you finally find something that really helps you out? And we were workshopping. So credit where credit is due, Dad, we came up with that line. It really stuck. We tested a few lines. People really liked that one. And it's become kind of the H1 that I just refuse to change.
From the man cave to the she shed.
Amen. Good stuff.
I actually think that people change their H1 way too soon.
For sure.
And like, I still think that if we had our first H1, it would probably perform better. Which was just like it was like Pinterest for ads or something.
Yeah, like
and it was just like, I still think if I changed our, like, even though we do like a lot more, I feel like if that was our H1, it would still be better. But I've heard this from like a lot of people too. It's like, oh, like we like actually coming up with a great H1. Like the more stuff you do, the least meaningful your H1 becomes. But your H1 is also like doesn't lose any of its importance. So it's like you go to like even like Salesforce probably or something and like look at their H1. Like this means nothing to nobody. But I think keeping the first H1 is usually like a good bet.
You know, in this space, I think it's so important, especially for like sales-led businesses, because eventually you've got to get the message across. What is it that this product solves? And people only have a certain amount of time to like decide whether like this is the product for them, right? Some people have heard, like they're listening to this podcast right now, they heard your story and they went, Gridbank is for me. But some people like, you know, halfway through, they're like, I just don't get it, right? So you've got like finite time to get across what it is that you're solving for that person. The amount of SaaS I've seen out there that like just totally fails to capture that attention and turn it into like the intent to solve that problem, to use the product. It's so big. And I think that's why they don't believe in marketing, because their website doesn't do any marketing. It doesn't capture that intent, right? It's like, this is a product and it does the job pretty well, but like the site doesn't illuminate what the product actually is, right?
Yeah, totally. I think like it's like a Steve Jobs quote or whatever, but very much something that I think about a lot is innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. That's like a core pillar, I feel like, of Gridbank, is just like ruthless discipline on stay on one line. Like the amount of times that people have asked us to add like gig economy stuff to our app, like what if people could make custom requests or hire a creator to do something on the app? Wouldn't that be the natural evolution? And it's like, no. Or what about photos? Why don't you? No. Like just stay on the initial line. It's something that I really liked about Foreplay as well, because when I was working at this job, I was using Sensor Tower a lot, which was quite gate kept and cost way too much. I think it was like $50,000 a year when we were working at the previous company. And I would have killed for Foreplay. Like that would have made I would have logged in every single day to check. So when I saw it, I was like, okay, thank God someone's building this and keeping the purity of it as well. I know you guys have other products, but the purity, I think, of the initial idea is really strong.
Thank you. What's actually pretty crazy is when you said like log in every single day, I thought I saw like a little bit of a moment to brag. So So we were recently doing this like big like analysis on like how many actual assets are served to like foreplay users every single day. Because we're like deciding on like what things to put in cold storage, what things to keep in like primary storage and things like that. And within the first 14 hours, it was over 2 million assets of like people saw like 2 million in like, and I was like, whoa, people like actually, because sometimes I feel like you always forget about like how many people are just like in your app all the time. And then like we have like an app where like, whereas like Jeremiah, like people probably, the more they go into Stamp, like the worse thing, they like almost never want to go into it, versus like for us, is like, yeah, people are always going in and stuff like that. And so, um, yeah, no, it actually is kind of like crazy. Like, I think like how, like just like how much usage our app gets on a day-to-day basis is like, yeah, I completely forgot about it.
So Zach, in that context, I assume like one person, I mean, I'm sure some people go and just look at a couple of things, but you might have somebody that looks at hundreds of assets in a single sitting, right?
Yeah, we have people that use foreplay. Like, they're definitely a niche of people that aren't in advertising professionally. They just like ads. Like it's a very small number of people, but there's literally people like, oh, I'm just like really into ads. Like, and I've seen the chats in Intercom, which is like wild.
What do you think that is? That's like really compelling.
I don't know, like some sort of like I don't know, capitalistic kink or something. Like,
Mad Men watchers.
yeah, like, but like, yeah, but we don't even have like, I can understand like really loving like Super Bowl commercials, but like like really loving UGC is like pretty weird. I mean, to be fair though, you can find some like pretty crazy stuff like inside of foreplay. We have like some black hat users and stuff like that. So even just like seeing what people can get past, like Facebook guidelines is like, I guess, entertaining.
I think it's autism. I think it's autism for sure. It's like when people listen to like theme park music on Spotify, or they use YouTube music. That's, yeah. It's, the Venn diagram is a circle.
Music as a whole is a tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did you go from wanting this to like MVP, or like what? I also have no idea like how long you guys have been around. So I'd love to see you to hear like from that moment of like having the idea up until now, what was that kind of like journey like?
Yeah. So when I thought of the idea, I was like, I sat on it for a few months, actually. I was kind of waiting to see, because it's a really scary thing to do. Like I had a pretty good career at a young age, in my early 20s. My dad was an entrepreneur. He was very protective of me early on. My grandpa as well. I mean, like my grandpa ran A to Z rentals on Monkland in NDG in Montreal. So like kind of like small business. I come from a line of like small business owners, basically. So my family was really protective. Like they didn't really want me to kind of make the jump, and I was really young, so I was taking that advice. But I sat on it for a while, and I started to see the demand happening on Twitter at the time, from people in the industry. People were articulating something around this idea that was that they needed a lot more video and they needed it to look really authentic. And eventually I just couldn't ignore it anymore. I thought to myself, if I wake up tomorrow and somebody has built this, how gutted am I going to be? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to kill myself. Like if I log onto Twitter tomorrow and somebody has built this idea, like I'm going to lose my shit. Like this is not good at all. So at that point I decided like it's time to do it. Cause I felt like once you think about the idea, like, and maybe this isn't true because we don't really have any direct competitors yet, but once you like think the idea, it's out in the ether or whatever. So I was scared that like some vibe was going to get picked up and someone was going to grab it before me. So quit my job, did it. I invested $150,000 of my own money to build it because I didn't want to rely on anybody else, basically, to get it done. I just wanted to get it done quickly. that didn't work. That's not enough money to build to build a startup. So then I ended up just like calling my friends and family. I got 35 of my friends and family members and some larger angel tickets, but basically like a lot of my friends and family members gave me $1,000. Like I was just pounding the phones. And so now I have like a long list of just like my friends, my best friends or whatever that kind of just gave me what they could. And they were like, yeah, go for it. Like no one actually really thought that it would go as far as it has, which is great. So we closed that and then we launched like a small friends and family round. And then we launched in April of 2023. So it's been just over 2 years. The most difficult part is that I'm not a technical founder. And this product is a 3-product suite. Like Gridbank is an app. It is an internal moderation system, which is our actual company IP and where we do a lot of our research on video and stuff. We have a research arm as well, which I really, really love. And then there's the website as well. With, it's not like deep tech, but you're loading a lot of videos all the time. That's hard on a website. There's an app. You have to figure out how to pay people. You have to figure out how much you're going to pay people. That was kind of the most difficult part of building it at the beginning was what's a phone video worth? I don't know. Like no one had ever figured this out yet. And then how much, like what's the willingness to pay and how can we drive up willingness to pay on the other end of that? So the most difficult part was actually defining the marketplace dynamics of what people were willing to accept and willing to pay for on both ends. And then we launched and yeah, that was the process. But hiring a bunch of contractors to build the tech for the first 6 months after I'd quit was a shit show. And I burned all my money doing it and then had to go get more. It was like a really hard and fast lesson to learn. I think now a lot of that probably can be mitigated by, I don't want to say like vibe coding, but like you can get to MVP faster than what I was able to pull off just even a few years ago. So that was definitely the most difficult part of it, but you just push through. I had a lot of friends that advised me that looked at stuff, that looked stuff over when I didn't really understand. Advisors and investors as well were also super really game to help out there. And that's how we got it off the ground.
Cool. How long did it take you from when you like put the 150 into your personal money to make the first dollar at Gridbank?
I think 6 months, 6 to 8 months. Yeah.
Nice.
How are you capitalized at this point? Is it, what does that look like now?
We've been profitable. So we basically spent that family and friends round to continue building the product. And then we've been profitable and growing since then. Yeah, it's just kind of, it's good. We're trying to grow like within our cash flow, which is obviously a little bit more constrained and more difficult than raising VC, for example. But really what matters is kind of getting the engine to keep going, like getting people the videos that they need and telling creators what videos people need so that it just kind of takes care of itself. And we're seeing a lot of that. When people get certain downloads of a certain type of video, they'll upload more of that video. And that creates just the funnel feeding itself. So eventually it all self-optimizes into like the perfect dynamic everyday video library because we get tons of new videos every day.
You know what's interesting on the topic of what do you price a video, a phone shot video? It seems like with this massive wave of demand for AI, people are valuing AI generated UGC very highly. They're willing to spend hundreds of dollars a month and hundreds of dollars on additional credits or thousands of dollars on credits to get something that feels fake. At some point, eventually feels fake. And don't get me wrong, it'll catch up and they'll be very realistic and it'll be great. But part of that, I guess, demand is for AI as a whole. It gets to benefit from that. And then part of that demand is being an early adopter and seeing where it's going. But I wonder if there's any way to piggyback on that demand. Obviously, your product isn't AI, but in comparison to AI, especially shoddy AI, the kind of AI that people have been trying to, make a product for a while in terms of AI generated UGC or vertical videos, phone shot videos. Yeah, I mean, for me, the easiest sell to take me from interested in AI over to interested in Gridbank is a side-by-side comparison. This is what Google VO3 or 2.5 Flash made, and it's goofy and it's unrealistic and it's not very good. And for a long time, it was just landscape, but now they're doing the whole vertical thing. And then this is what Gridbank could get you, right?
Yeah. I'm like not anti AI. I'm anti people not getting paid for stuff. Like that's kind of what puts a sour taste in my mouth about, because the like AI is going to advance and like I get punked by videos all the time. But I don't really like mind AI in general. That's not a problem. It's just like the fact that there isn't like a ledger of paying people for the stuff that they make, and the fact that like it's built off things that are stolen is, I think, what puts the sour taste in my mouth, because I feel like that's, not fair or whatever it is. But I mean, honestly, like the first time Sora came out, I was really scared. I was like, why the hell would someone like, I was like, I'm screwed. Like, if you can just generate an entire library, like, why would Gridbank even exist? I'm really glad I didn't quit at that point, because if I don't know, I have instincts or hypotheses about why we haven't crumbled yet on the user side. But we've only seen our business grow in the wake of these advances. It's almost like clockwork. Like every time a new model comes out, we have like a growth spurt. I have some hypotheses about what that might be. Number one, I don't think a lot of people like to prompt. I think the like browsing is actually a really lovely experience for people. So people spend a lot of time on Gridbank just looking at stuff because they don't want to start from zero. So they like kind of getting the inspiration and looking for stuff and actually being told what's good instead of having to invent it from scratch. Another thing is a lot of our clients are advertising agencies. So when they go to their clients with AI generated content or AI generated work, why would the client want their agency to be giving them AI generated work? Like, then the client, like, why are they paying the agency? So it's a reputation thing as well. Like selling people AI generated stuff or reports. I know Deloitte did or was it Deloitte that did the report in Australia and found a lot of like misinformation, and they had to, anyway, I have to fact check that. But it, when people get real videos, or when the clients get real videos, they get really impressed because they're like, how did you guys get all this stuff? How are you able to make all of these iterations without, using AI? And then they're like, man, don't worry about it. Like, we have a secret kind of plug, if you will. And then, the the video feed feeds itself back to our creators and back into our library dynamically. So over time, if you see more prompts and if you see more searches and more downloads on our website, our creators get wind of that and then they feed it back. So over time, it's almost like you're working on an automated delivery system of real stuff. I think a lot of those things together kind of make it so that when the customer comes to our website, it's like, yeah, all of a sudden you have all the content you need. Like there's no work you have to do. It's okay. Like everyone here is having fun. No one's going to see something that was messed up in your video in the corner and then it's going to wreck your reputation as being able to deliver quality work. People are getting paid for the videos that they're putting on. So I think just in general, I like to keep good vibes in the business across the board. And I think that it's just like a win-win for everybody.
I love that. It's more convenient. There's less risk. The product's better. Yeah. Why wouldn't you use it?
What do you think about like what one of the conversations that's happening right now is um, whether things like ads in particular, or basically any content created with AI, whether that's going to need to be tagged as AI in the future. How do you think about that? And because I can see there's potentially a world in which all these problems we see in AI generated content today kind of goes away. It's probably a ways out still, but in that context, there's less the quality issue of AI becomes less of a question mark. So I'm curious how you think about like where we might be going from a regulatory standpoint on some of these things.
Yeah, so there's the regulations in Europe, and then I believe that state by state is going to be dealt with in the US as well. But on a macro scale, like I'm not against using AI, but I think there are a couple of concepts that I can apply from just like communication studies and media studies in general that will help illuminate this, that I tend to lean on when I think about this stuff. When you're watching, there's this concept in communication and media studies and like media philosophy or whatever called the suspension of disbelief. The suspension of disbelief is what we all agree to when we're watching an animated movie or when we're watching a movie at all that is a fictional story, or when I am, picking up a stuffed animal and like giving it a little voice, for example. I'm engaging in what's called a suspension of disbelief that this thing isn't real. So for a second, I'm choosing to put aside like my logic, basically. I think the taste in people's mouth that isn't great is that suspension of disbelief is something that you have to consent to as a media watcher. And so the feeling of being duped, or the feeling of seeing bunnies on a trampoline or whatever, and then going back after and realizing that it was fake, that's why it makes people sad, because they didn't consent. There's not an informed consent to the concept of the suspension of disbelief that is occurring in this relationship between the viewer and the actual media piece itself. I don't like to, when I see a bad feeling in a product, in a nature of a product, when I see that people wince or are sad about an outcome of something that they're watching, to me, it's a red flag about the object itself. Like, I don't want to engage in things that aren't that make people sad at any point in the process. Like, Gridbank is a product that helps people when they really need videos and they need something to like come in clutch because they have a deadline for a client and they need to get like a quality piece of work out. It's good for creators because they make money because they're not doing any, it's a completely passive income experience and they're just happy to kind of get rewarded for it. So regarding regulations, it can help to put, of course, to tell people that, something is AI generated, because now we're entering into the consented suspension of disbelief relationship, which is why I believe that there's nothing that's actually wrong with inherently like AI generated media in and of itself. Nothing's wrong with making things up as long as we're engaging in the consented suspension of disbelief concept. That's what I think about it. Long-winded. Sorry, guys. Damn.
No. I think this maps onto the e-com world perfectly because, like, if a customer feels duped by an ad that they saw, are they just duped by the content, or is the product not even real? Right.
True. It totally applies to that as well. Yeah.
Right. So they need to know that, okay, the content's AI, or there's AI involved in the content, but the product's real. Right.
You also have to assume that that over a certain time horizon, they're not going to have that negative feeling anymore, because they won't know that they were duped. So, like, if you consume something and you never know that you were duped, and then you get the product and it fulfilled your expectations, then it's like, almost none of it matters.
Well, that's why it's so easy to win, because so many people are engaging in some sort of dupe at some point in that funnel, that when like a good company actually gives you a good product that you actually like, you've Like, guys, that's all you have to do. Like, nobody has to trick anybody into anything. We just have to like sell good shit to people and they'll freak out and love it. Like, that's it. Nobody has to fool anybody.
Um, Sorry, switching topics here. I'm curious to learn more about your business model too, because I mean, I think I've got a little bit of a sense of it, but how does it actually work in terms of effectively you're connecting the creators with the people who are buying this content? What does that process look like? How do you, I guess, monetize your business in that context too?
Yeah, sure. So we have plans where basically someone will subscribe to Gridbank for our most popular plan is $790 a quarter. We do that because the length of an average ad campaign is about that long. So people's credits don't run out. And it also gives them the benefit of not, like we used to have monthly, but people's credits would run out before their ad campaign was done. So we were like, you know what, let's do it as the length of an ad campaign, but not make people commit for a whole year if they don't want to. So we landed on a quarter.
And that's, sorry, just real quick, that's because of licensing of the assets.
Yeah. Yeah. Licensing and just the amount of credits that people have. So if you go on to our plan right now, you'll have 120 downloads for the next 90 days, as opposed to having 30 downloads for 30 days, where you might not, like your campaign might be in 35 days, for example, um, where you'll need to export the videos. So it just makes it a little bit easier. And then within those credits, each time a video gets downloaded, like gets clicked on, the creator immediately gets paid. And they get paid based on an algorithm that we have internally that determines like the scarcity of that type of content versus the desire in the marketplace of what we have. So it's a dynamic kind of flowing thing. So we're always making sure that people are getting rewarded more for stuff that we actually need. And then that encourages them to upload more stuff of the stuff that the customers need. And that's how it works. And we use any of those royalty payouts or any unused credits as bonuses or incentives throughout the month for creators to just like pay people more that are doing really well or that are putting in a lot of effort, run promos for creators or do whatever.
What's like the distribution? Is there like one person that's just like absolutely crushing it, or like how far from like the first person back to like the, you know, like the bell curve is it?
Mm. Um, I think so. At the top range, there are a few people that are paying their rent, like just off of Gridbank royalties, which is really cool because they dedicate maybe like an hour a month to just filming some stuff and like refeeding the engine. Um, there is actually a really high distribution of people that do make money. I think about, if I'm not mistaken, I almost don't want to like, I think 40% of people that have uploaded 10 videos or more have made money. It's quite agnostic, and the bell curve is actually not, there aren't many outliers. Like, kidding aside, like I think I have $30. I obviously don't redeem the earnings from Gridbank. I put them back into the creator pool, but um I was out at an event last night and someone I knew there came up to me and was like, I have $7. And I was like, holy shit, yeah, sick. And then other people upload and, so the distribution is actually kind of wide. But when people put like a modicum of effort into uploading more stuff, like maybe an hour, a couple hours a month, right now the payouts are really high for those people. Granted, when we get more creators, where, it might, well, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it doesn't. We're going to bump those people to the top anyway, so they're always making the amount of money that they always have. Because I don't want anyone to like drop off when there are more creators. So that's also the thing. But, that's how you balance out. That's why we built our algorithm the way we did, was to always kind of keep balance on the supply and demand side. So we didn't have to like think about it. We have it all listed out.
So the ideal state would be that you have some set of like your top, I don't know, let's say 5-10% of creators, whatever that is, making more and more money to incentivize them to keep doing more and more of the same thing.
Yeah, it's about what the customers want, right? So on Gridbank, a really cool thing is that we get a lot of search data. We get a lot of like data. We see what people hover on. We see what people click on and are about to download, and then what they choose to download instead of what they downloaded, which is also a really interesting insight for creators. So the ideal end state is that all of that data gets properly communicated back to people so that they can actually succeed the most. Customers are happy, creators are happy, everyone's getting what they need based on what they're searching for and clicking on. So, yeah.
And then in this context, creators they're not doing custom assets for a brand or something like that. It's effectively like stock content.
It's like an everyday stock. So because we're not it's not professional, it's like gamified stock, if you will. Because there are no professionals on it, so people have their phones all the time. So we get like a much more instant playback. Like within hours, we can get videos if there's a surge in demand to actual material in the marketplace. Custom stuff, not that it wouldn't be useful, but there are just so many other platforms for that it's not gonna make anyone's lives better to have it on Gridbank as well. Like other people do that better than us. We really like a passive experience. I've always been really intrigued by like actually dignified passive income, like not bullshit passive income. And that's really what we're trying to build towards. People really like it. They like that we spoke to a bunch of creators in the past few weeks and they said, like, what I like most about Gridbank is you guys aren't like forcing me to do anything else other than what I'm already doing. And I can check my app and like my money's there and like it's all good. And that's perfect. That's exactly what I want.
Laura, I love how much spice there is. There's dignified passive income and bullshit passive income. I think what's bullshit passive income?
Bullshit passive income is when we're like 18 years old and we're like doing surveys and shit and we're trying to like when we're all trying to hustle and people say, oh, like make money on this. And then you realize it's not actually passive or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like being a landlord and owning properties. There's nothing
Precisely.
passive about that.
Yeah.
It's so funny your whole story here it just reminds me of when I started doing Facebook ads at a software company in 2012. And I just remember we would download stock photos. It was all just like the right hand or the right sidebar ads, I think was the only thing available at that point in time. And you just like download stock photos, do like a headline and a little bit of copy. And that was like all of the ads were just this campaign. It's like a much better version of that, a much more modernized version of like pulling in that, being able to give people content that they can actually use in a variety of contexts. I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's such a good place to take it back to just understand why something like Gridbank exists, right? Because ads were extremely uncompetitive back then, right? All you needed to really do was pay for them, right? You didn't need the most incredible media to be the most persuasive, and maybe there was a little bit of a art of copywriting there that you could maybe improve performance. But I imagine I wasn't even advertising back then. I imagine that it was just pay for impressions, right? Or pay per click.
We literally spent millions on probably like 10 different stock photos and a bunch of different like headlines and
hell yeah, nice.
Well, also like when if you think back to what's weird about it is like sometimes I think like, oh, imagine if I had a time machine, I could just like go back knowing what everything I know now to like 2017, and like you might have had like a certain edge potentially, but like realistically, if you really think back what like the Facebook feed was back then, like a random image with like a headline was like pretty close to like random news articles that were on the Facebook feed. Like people used to just like go to like a New York Times article, copy paste and like post, and it wasn't like people making content. You weren't really going there for quote unquote entertainment. You weren't really like consuming in the same way. And so like weirdly, yeah, like ads used to be bad, but like the Facebook feed also was kind of bullshit. So it's like they kind of fit in, and like in the same way that now ads are like really entertaining and like really like capturing attention. It's like, okay, like all reels are also that, you know?
Yeah.
Dude, do you remember when the feeds were chronological and it wasn't like merit based? So you could just spam. When I built my first business, we just spammed the feeds and we would add a bunch of people to Facebook groups. I would have these like freelancers rack up like 5,000 friends and then add them into Facebook groups and just spam those groups as well. And yeah, so it was really uncompetitive. It was just like who can get the most media out, right? Who can post?
You could
the
really
most.
hustle back then. Like hustling back then worked in a way that it doesn't now.
Yeah.
I
Now
used
it's
I used to run a Facebook group that was how to scam people on Habbo Hotel. I don't know if you guys ever played Habbo Hotel. But it was a paid Facebook group where people would send me like a PayPal. And then I just had a system of how to like scam people out of their Habbo Hotel coins. And it was all social engineering. This is like, I was like 15.
This is
Not even
incredible
15. I was probably-
lore. This is amazing lore.
this is good
yeah,
lore.
okay. So this is the only scam that I ever ran, and it wasn't real money, which is even worse. Like it should be real money if you're gonna run a
If
scam.
you're gonna scam,
Yeah, and so if you're gonna scam, like why scam for fake tokens? Like scam for real money. But like I was like making a little bit of money selling the scam. So essentially, what I would do, like the number one sort of like system was you go and have a hotel, and you need to like build up some sort of wealth. So you had a really sick like have a hotel penthouse, and then you would put out on the message board that you were running a beauty contest, and that the winner would get like whatever amount of like coins for a beauty contest, and then but you have to like pay to enter in like have a hotel coins. And so you'd get like all these people coming in for a beauty contest to win this like grand prize of like 10,000 coins, and they'd all buy in for like 1,000, and then you just like block them all. And I ended up becoming just like, I ended up just becoming a have a hotel kingpin. And then it stopped working. So I was like, I'm going to build a group on like how I became the have a hotel kingpin. So that's my adolescent scam story.
Guys, we've already shared now. If you have any like silly hustles that you had when you were younger, this is not a hustle, but this was. Do you guys remember RuneScape? It was like a video game where you like
RuneScape videos like every night, like RuneScape
Still?
replays. So yeah, like I think.
oh
my God.
awesome, still a
Yeah.
thing.
So now,
But yeah,
I'm very familiar.
you would like mine stuff, and then you go to this place called the Grand Exchange and sell it. And I got into just trading lobsters, just buying lobsters and selling them for ARB. And then they released a mini game which like introduced a boatload of lobsters into the game, and I quit. I was like, I'm done. The price of lobsters tanked, and I was like, oh, I'm done.
That's kind of like the opposite of what happened to real lobsters in real life. Like lobsters used to
maybe.
not be a delicacy or whatever because there were so many of them. They would feed them to prisoners.
Oh, really?
And when they brought them overseas over to like North America, they started marketing it more as a legacy because they had so many of them. I could totally.
Laura, you're not getting out of this. Zach went first. He told his embarrassing story. I told mine. You're up.
No, Jeremiah goes, no.
I don't know that I have an embarrassing story, but I have a game idea that has been in my mind for like 10, 12 years. And it's the game is called Ponzi Scheme. And basically the idea is that everybody opts into joining Ponzi schemes. And so there's like in-game currency, and effectively the goal is to get out before it crashes. So you like get into a Ponzi scheme, you don't know when it's going to crash, but you know it's going to crash. And so you're trying to maximize your earning potential before it crashes.
That's funny. That's
That would
funny.
be such
I
a
like
good
that.
online casino. That'd be such a good online casino game. Like
For
I don't know if you
real.
played the one where like
Not a
the rocket
real-
goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I
the
would
idea is,
bet.
like once you earn enough, you can start your own Ponzi schemes. So, so you know when it's going to crash, but nobody else does. So anyway, that's yeah.
You should certainly build this and move to the Cayman Islands.
100%. Like this would print, dude.
Yeah.
I think it would.
Yeah.
I would play it, and because the game is literally called Ponzi Scheme, it is not, by definition, it cannot be a Ponzi scheme because you know what's happening. So there's nothing illegal about it, as far as I know. I haven't run that by a lawyer.
All right. Do we have to cut this part out of the pod?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if you guys want to reveal your inner.
Maybe we should all just team up and get it built. But
Yeah, well, I guess we could. I mean, I was in mobile games before. What is
Laura,
this like
what are
a
you talking about? You said you say no. It's the art of saying no.
what? Who's saying no?
You were saying earlier you've got to say no to things.
Yeah, sorry. No, whatever. Okay,
All
no.
right.
No Ponzi schemes. No scheming. I didn't run any scams, guys. I just charged a shitload for my lemonade. I really got to say, like, I was pumping like $5 lemonade in NDG in Montreal, and I loved making the signs. Like that was my thing, was making the signs. But no, I never like scammed per se. I did weird shit though. When I was a kid, I used to want to build. I was telling somebody about this the other day. I remember when I was a kid, I collected all the toilet paper rolls from my house for like months, like after they were done, just to like try and build like a huge fort out of all of them in the backyard. I would also dig holes in the backyard. Like I would.
This is 90s kid stuff. Yep, I'm hearing it. It's interesting what you said about the lemonade though, charging lots for lemonade. It reminded me you were trying to figure out the pricing for videos on Gridbank. How did you land on, some balance of supply and demand in the end for your pricing? There's a lot of talk, I'm not sure if you guys have seen it on X right now, about SaaS pricing. I think it's super interesting. Yeah, and giving customers a way to anchor price to the value of the content that they're getting, or whatever it is that they're getting off from your SaaS. I think it's super interesting, as opposed to anchoring it to, I don't know, competitors or other SaaS in completely different verticals. So yeah, how did you land on that supply demand balance, and how do you think about pricing?
This was the hardest part. This was the hardest part because a lot of people will hear that the delta is really wide between what somebody thinks a lot of money for a video is. Like UGC creators, for example, their closest anchor that they have is creating custom work for like a brand project, right? But that's really different than a video that's been sitting on your phone that's going to be sold to multiple people over and over again for the rest of time, just like accruing value. So it was really hard to find a comparable. I started a baseline where Shutterstock and Getty Images are both public companies. This was a huge benefit to me early on building it. And they've been public companies for like 20 years. So all of their earnings data and like how much they pay creators or whatever is publicly available. Granted, like, not exactly, like they're never super exact about it, but you can glean from their quarterly reports for the past 20 years, like how much they tend to budget. So I was like, okay, these guys obviously know what they're doing in terms of operating this type of business. So what I did is I took those anchors and I just paid people more than that. I was like, I'm not going to pay people less than that amount of our gross. So I'm going to set aside an amount of gross to pay people. And then I'm going to distribute the earnings based on the needs of what the customers actually want. And on the pricing side, we did the same thing. For the pricing, it was probably one of the most difficult parts of building in general because we had much smaller plans before. We were doing like, around $50 a month or whatever for like 10 videos or something. And that was not working for so many reasons. The nature of the product that we have is that people need a lot of video. Like the customers that use our platform don't need 10 videos. They need hundreds. They need to test. Like usually they're pretty advertising literate. And so they want to download tons and test different types of concepts. Like they need hundreds, if not hundreds and hundreds per month of videos to pump into their iterations and stuff. So that was pretty hard to nail. But once we got to that point, which was offering people a lot of videos within a time frame that made sense while being able to pay people more than what stock video companies had done before, it just like maths out while being able to, grow a business also so that we can get more customers, so that we can get more demand, because the more demand that you get, the more money people make. the more money people make, the happier people are. So it's we were able to swing it with the model that we have now.
Cool. And then we're coming up on time, but I would love to just know what's your goal with Gridbank?
What's your goal as foreplay?
To leave with $50 million liquid. It's very specific.
He didn't just make that up.
Very
That has
specific.
genuinely
Yeah.
been the goal for a long time.
Yeah, I've heard it like 10 times now.
Like in your perfect world, like what would be like an amazing outcome where you're like, this, I'd be super stoked about this.
I kind of want to like ring the bell.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of want to like do it. I think my allegiance is to the idea. I think it's this like simplest idea. It applies to everybody. Like everybody has a phone. Like everybody can participate in this. So I want everyone's instinct in the world be like after they take a photo or a video that they have the opportunity to upload it to Gridbank and they can make money off of it and they're happy about that. And that's a lot of people in the world. And I think that's kind of what I'm going to push for is the big one on this one. I don't know if I'm going to start another company again, guys. I wasn't hustling like you were. Like, I think this is the thing. Like, the idea kind of found me. I don't know if I'm building other companies after this, to be honest. So I'm kind of going to like send it.
Nice. And do you relate to this? You mentioned that you're a non-technical founder. Zach sent me this the other day.
Here's the thing.
Fine. Listen,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded. In that
Is that relatable?
Story of my life. You go up to developers and you're like, guys, I love you. I am an idiot. Please, like, forgive me. Give me grace. How long is this going to take? What is this? Like, work with me. You're going to hate working with me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Absolutely. 100%.
Do you have any devs on your team that pull funny faces when you try and articulate your ideas? Are you in Figma? Are you sketching these ideas out, or are you just like in words, kind of spelling out in
I'm in
poems?
Figma. I was a creative director, so I did a minor in computation arts. You know, what is that? But like, I did some like minor coding stuff and a lot of production stuff. So I know a lot about like software and design and whatever. So I'm not like vacant, I suppose, in the domain. But yeah, no, I'm in Figma. I'm up in Figma. You can catch me in Figma for sure. Although, have you guys tried the new framer design tool? I haven't tried that yet, but I'm keen to see what they've got cooking.
I didn't even know they
No,
had
I've
one.
heard-
Like they came out with like a Figma competitor.
Yeah, a free one like a couple weeks ago.
Interesting.
Nice.
And nobody wants me designing anything. I just
But yeah, are you guys up in Figma? Like, are you like, how close are you guys to, or Zach, how close are you to the product and to the design and stuff? Were you at
I'm
the
in
beginning?
Figma, I'm in like Figma every day still.
Still.
Yeah. I think it's like
Nice.
my highest leverage place to be.
Sweet.
Yeah. I also like, I'm not good with like communication. So like just showing stuff is a lot better. Now we have like a designer that's much better than me at UI, but I go pretty far before, like there's a lot of massaging to my ideas before they're worth anything. And I need to like do that myself. Like if I try to do like iterations just on like, yeah, I need to do like the first, if we were digging a hole, like I need to get the hole started certainly before before we get to water. So
What does that process look like for you of like iterating? Do you let your subconscious take care of a lot of the work? Do you work through it live?
I just like sit in front of my computer until I like it. For me, it's like, I hate it until, and then when I don't hate it that much, I'm like, okay, it's probably good to pass off. Yeah.
When you don't hate it that much.
It's like the absence of negative feelings. It's
Isn't that a funny thing though? Like, I'm sure you all feel this way too, but it feels like the work, like whatever I'm doing, I'm never satisfied with it. It never feels like it's good enough. It's never good enough for me. And I don't feel like I'm a perfectionist, but like it's definitely like it's never good enough.
Well, there's this concept of why that exists. And there's people that actually, they feel like stuff's good enough, and those people usually don't get that far. And like what it is that there's always a gap between your taste and then what you can kind of like do. And so as you like progress, your taste is anchored to like what you had done previously. And so like your taste is always like a certain number of degrees ahead of like your capabilities. And like ideally, like you would live in that for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Bro, I think there's like 100%. And there's the decision to work is like understanding that things could be better if I did something about it. And things can always be better unless you decide that they can't be better and you stop working, right? I think that's probably why those people don't go so far, or they stop making things better, right? Where people do want things to be better in almost every sense, right? Whether it's a 4-player or it's Gridbank or it's,
Yeah.
no.
I know something's good when I send it to people. That's like when I send it to people and ask them for feedback, or I'm like, can you put comments on this? Like that's my
When you're proud.
that I don't hate the work.
I think my problem is I might be proud of something today and then tomorrow I'm not.
Mm.
Just like, oh yeah, this is good. And then I look at it, yeah, maybe not literally tomorrow, but like a week later sometimes I'd be like, oh, I really wish I would have done this thing instead.
Jeremiah, my first brand, we took down our old products because I was like, this doesn't reflect us now. And we do it over and over again. I'd be like, they're still selling, but fuck it. I'm not proud of this. I'm embarrassed now.
Okay, well, if it still makes money, I'm not taking it down. I got some things that make money that that I'm definitely not proud of, but they make money.
Ain't that the truth?
Cool. All right, Laura, thanks for coming on. And everybody go check out Break Gridbank. And yeah, this is a great episode.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you guys so much for inviting me on. Have fun in Miami. I will be in Canada still for the foreseeable future. So you win.
Get some skiing in.
Yeah, I guess.
See you guys.